The big change in the homestretch update, which is the final update before the 1.0 release of Grounded, is armor and weapon upgrades. No longer will you be using quartzite to upgrade weapons or leather plates to upgrade armor. Instead, they have been replaced by new resources which can be found in the world and later on crafted. In this video, I'm going to show you the location of all these resources I've found so far, and I'll show you exactly where to find all the tier 3 versions of these resources. The tier 3 versions cannot currently be crafted, and they'll be the only way to upgrade armor and weapons to level 8 and 9 between now and 1.0. Before we get started, I want to thank Mateo Solis, Matthew Campbell, Stephen Van, the Overseer 91, and all my other channel members and patrons. Click the links in the description to become a member or patron today. Thanks again to all my channel members and patrons. Let's get started. So real quick, what I want to do is show you the new resources that we're going to be using. So if you're upgrading your weapons, instead of using quartzite, you're now going to be using tough nuggets. You'll notice it does look like quartzite. This may change in the future, but right now they do look like the quartzite nodes. The armor is going to be using the fashion nuggets. Like I said, these can be found around the map. So these are the tier 1 versions. There's also tier 2s and tier 3s. Right now you can unlock crafting recipes later on once you get the black anthill chip. Currently, that's how it's set up right now. Once you get that and turn it into Burgle, you can buy the crafting recipes that will allow you to craft both the tier 1 and tier 2. The tier 3 crafting recipe is not currently in the game. They said they're not going to be releasing it until the 1.0 update. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the location. I'm going to show you the map, and I'm going to show you the location exactly where to find all the tier 3s because they're the most important. I'm also going to show each section of the map that I'm in, and I've marked all the locations of where I found these resources. I believe right now I have found all of the tier 3 resources. To the best of my knowledge, I found where all the tier 3s are located as I'm recording this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly where the tier 3s are, and then I will also show you the map for each section I'm in that's going to show markers where the rest of them are. So right now we are on the map. We are over here by where the 4-leaf clover is. You'll see it right here. This is over here by towards the eastern flooded zone. I'm sure you probably know where the 4-leaf clover is. This is the cave that goes into it. And what we're going to do is we're going to swim down here, and I'm going to show you. You're actually going to see all the resources here. So we're going to swim down here. Now I'm in creative, obviously, so I'm not going to, or custom game mode, so I'm not going to drown. You're going to need to make sure you have some type of, well, you can probably make this if you know the swim without any kind of swimming gear, but it's going to be tight. But anyway, I recommend having the swimming gear to get down here. So we're going to swim down here and show you exactly where these are. Now down here is obviously the 4-leaf clover. What we're going to see up here in the corner is going to be the Rock of Fashion. These are the tier 1. This is going to drop, I believe, the tier 1 and tier... Actually, these drop the tier 1. So we're going to break these to get to tier 1s. Over here, you're going to see the Stone of Toughness. Those are also going to drop the tier 1s. And then we got a couple more over here. And over here in the corner, you're going to see we have the Rad Rock of Fashion and the Rad Stone of Toughness. These require the Black Ox Hammer to break. They will drop the tier 3 resource you need. I believe they also drop the tier 2 resource, if I remember correctly. Those are the only ones that are in the grassland. So what I'm going to do is show you the bottom corner of the map and just real quickly show you. Where on the map I've marked where with these stars, a blue star would be the level 3 for the armor, and a red star is going to be the level 3 for the weapons. Any blue diamonds are going to be locations of other ones. There are a bunch over here. You're going to see there's 5 different locations in the hedge lab. The labs are going to be one of the places you're going to find them. These are typically just sitting on shelves for the best of my knowledge. I'm not going to run over there and show you every location, or this video is going to take a couple of hours because I did spend about 6 or 7 hours looking for these. And so these are going to be in the lab. So as you're going through the labs, just look on the shelves. This first one, I believe, is up in the room after the first zip line. You go up there, there's some on the shelves. The rest of these are just in the lab, sitting on the shelves. To the best of my knowledge, I do not believe any of these were broken. I think they were just shards sitting on shelves in here. There's also a couple more down in over here by Spade Gulch. You're going to be, if you blow the rock up over here, there's going to be some in there. Also over here, I've marked, there's some on the side where the larva den is. So the Spade Gulch cave connects to the larva den, but they put a rock in the middle there now, down right past where the field station is. So you actually have to blow that up. I'm not sure if it can be blown up from the field station side. There is a crack on the other side, so maybe it can be blown up from either side, but you'll need to do that because there are a couple over here by the larva, but there's also some over here on the side where you come in from the Spade Gulch. Also over here in the grasslands, there are underneath the wooden plank here where the wolf spider is. If you go down in there, there's some down in there. And then up here, this is going to be the old anthill. So the old anthill and Burgle's lab, which I'll probably run past and actually, I'm not going to show you that because they're just in there. If you go past Burgle's lab or the oak tree lab, go in there and then go through that whole thing, go through the little tunnel system and come out where the old anthill is. That's over here. You'll find a bunch of them in there as well. There's also some over in the red anthill. There's quite a bit over there. I only put one marker here, but there's quite a bit over there. All right, I'm midway over to the haze area, and this is where the next 2 of the tier 3s are going to be. So here's the cassette tape over here. I'm going to show you where I am on the map. Here's the cassette tape right here. We're on the stepping stones, and the 2 tier 3s that are in the haze are going to be right down here in this cavern. So we'll just drop down here, and you'll see here we have the rad stone of toughness, and then down here under this leaf over here is going to be the other tier 3, the rock of fashion. And here we go right here. So you'll see some of the fashion nuggets are just laying on the ground. Sometimes they come like this. So on the map here in the haze, I've just marked off all the ones that I found. That's going to be this area right here. So we'll zoom in so you can see them. These are where the tier 3s are. The tier 3 that's red, and the tier 3 for the weapons, and the tier 3 that is for armor. These are all the other locations that I found. Basically, what I would recommend doing for the haze is I would recommend plugging the haze if you're trying to find all these. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of difficult, and there's a lot of enemies down here. One thing I wanted to point out while I was on my way over to the sandbox is a couple of other locations. There are some that are actually in the haze lab. I don't believe there was too many in the haze lab. I think they were just laying around sitting on the shelves. But there's some here, and I marked it here by the pipe that comes out from the haze lab. I'm not going to go in there. There's a couple laying on the ground behind some roots. They're not going to be broken. You're just going to pick them up. So if you're trying to get all of them, make sure you check those on the way out of the labs. All right, so we're in the bottom left corner of the map. I wanted to start by talking about the Black Anthill. I'm not going to go through the Black Anthill because there were no tier 3 of either the armor or the weapon versions in the Black Anthill, and I only have one marker here. But when you go through the Black Anthill, you're going to need to search every corner. There are a lot of each kind inside of the Black Anthill. But basically, when you're going in there, make sure you have yourself a torch. Don't just beeline your way through to the doors. Where there's like when you're going through the labs, make sure you go around. If there's any dark corners, go check those out because there's a bunch in there. The Black Anthill lab also had a bunch that were inside of chests that I was able to search and pick up. So I think those are random, the ones in their chest. I don't think they're guaranteed. Make sure you check all the chests as you're going through there. I also want to mention the fact that I went through the entire trash heap and I searched everywhere, and I know a friend of mine also searched everywhere as well. We didn't find any of them tier 1, 2, or 3 in any of the trash heap area. So you can pretty much avoid going down there other than going through the Black Anthill. If you do find some down there, let me know, but I didn't find any. I went through every single part of the trash heap and all the trash area, even where all the candies were, went all around the edges and stuff and did not find any. Also went along the left side here of the sandbox, didn't see any as well. So now we're going to be heading into the sandbox, and you're going to notice this is a good spot for finding them. So basically we're going to load up the map here, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here to where these red stars are. Those are going to be the tier 3 red, or the tier 3 stones for the armor, or for the weapons. Now, I did dig up a bunch of the treasure chests that were here. None of the treasure chests had them in it from what I saw, so I don't believe they're in there. So you're going to notice down here, this is the one that has the Mega Milk Molar in it. This is right here on the map. I came in through this entrance, so you're going to have the rad stone of toughness here on this one. This is the one that connects to the salt. I think this is the salt mine. The salt mine has one of each. So, of course, you're going to come down here and get salt. The salt respawns. One thing I didn't mention, these do not respawn, so there are a limited number of them. So down here in the salt mine, you're going to find one rad stone of toughness, which is the tier 3, and you're going to find one rad rock of fashion. So make sure you come down here. Next time you're trying to get salt, come through here and grab those if you have a tier 3 hammer. Under this yellow block, we're going to find, I believe, one for the armor. So let's head over here. So right here, we're under this yellow block, and you're going to see we have the rad rock of fashion. Those are all the ones that are in the sandbox. There's one in the Mega Milk Molar hole. There's one of each inside where the salt mine is, and then there's one over here under the yellow Lego bucket or the yellow sand toy. And then there's also there's a couple inside of each of these ant hills, or the ant lion hills over here. So those are all the ones that are in the sandbox, We don't need to go over to the picnic table. I will tell you that the exposed pipe that's over here where you find the Minotaur key, there is, I believe, one of each type of rock in here. I think they're tier 1 or tier 2. And then up here, when you open up the chest at the end of the Minotaur maze, you're going to find yourself, I think, 5 of each of the tier 1s, both the ones for the armor and the weapons. So there's a bunch of them up there. So those are all the ones that are in the bottom corner. I'll just give you a second here, just if you want to freeze frame it or take a screenshot of it or something. All right, so I made my way over to the koi pond, and what I wanted to mention real quick, one thing I didn't mention, the water tunnels that are underneath the oak tree lab that lead out to the koi pond, where the diving bell spiders are. There, obviously, if you've gotten the milk molars, there's milk molars down there. There's also, I think, a scab as well as a backpack that has some arrows in it. There are some of the shards laying around on the ground down there, so you'll be able to find the rocks of fashion and the tough stones. There's some of those laying around down there. You need to make sure you look behind some of the roots that are under there because they're kind of like hidden a little bit. Some of them are a little bit tough to get. So what we're going to do is we're looking at the tier 3. There's one of each tier 3 down here. So we are over here by the leaf. You'll see the net here, the little skimmer net here. We're going to go down by this leaf, and we're on the map right here between the little edges here. Of course, if you know what's down here, you're going to know this is where the abomination totem is. So when we're going to go inside of here, there are no enemies in here to the best of my... I don't believe there are. At least there weren't when I went in here the first time. And we're going to go in here, and we're going to see that if we swim all the way to the end, we're going to find ourselves not only the abomination totem recipe, or is it the abomination totem recipe? You also find yourself some upgrading materials. So here we do. We head in here, and you're going to see we have a rad rock of fashion, as well as a rad stone of toughness. And then, of course, here is the abomination totem. So you're going to want to make sure you grab those. Now, while we're over here by the koi pond, I'll show you the rest. There's a bunch inside of the koi pond lab. There's some inside of there. There's some down under here under the pagoda where there's a door. You're going to want to... this one right here, I think is just loosely laying on the ground at the bottom of the koi pond, but most of them are inside of the koi pond lab. One over here is where the pond depths are. So if you go down through the pond depths and go inside of there, it's super dark. You're going to need a torch. You'll notice there is going to be some raw science in there. If you go to the raw science and then look up at the roof, somewhere near that raw science, there's going to be a little hatch that goes in there. When I was streaming this, most of the people said they had never been inside of this hatch. So there's some inside of there, and there's some inside the other parts of the lab. So make sure you check those out, as well as the pagoda lab here. So those are all the ones that I found inside of the koi pond. And like I said, this one was laying just randomly on the bottom of the koi pond. So I suspect there's possibly others just scattered around. And I looked as best as I possibly could. So there might be some loose ones lying around. But what we're going to do is we're going to move up to the upper yard and find the final 2 locations where we're going to be able to get the tier 3 stones, and also show you where all the other stones were that I found up there as well. All right, so I'm over at the termite hill. We're up here on the tarp. I will show you where we are on the map right here. We're in the top left corner of the map right here. I'm just going to go in from this entrance because it's the easiest one to see. So obviously you see we're up here on the tarp. You can get into this termite hill from multiple directions, but we're going to head down here. You're going to notice I'm going to walk past a couple. Basically what I found was all of the labs and hills have lots of these resources in there. This one only has a single tier 3. It's going to be down by the termite king. So as we head down here, when you're coming through here, basically just go through the entire hill because you're going to find a bunch of them. Over here, we're going to find ourselves, this is the level 2. So yeah, there are cool stones of toughness too. So there's level 2s for those. So like I said, you're going to need all 3 tiers of hammer. We're going to go down here where the termite king is located and find ourselves the only tier 3 that I found inside of here. And then we have one more location where there's tier 3s. It's like the jackpot one. I saved the best for last. So down here, I think there might be some in this corner. Yeah, there's down here we got ourselves a tier 2 down here, a bunch of tier 2s for each kind. And down here in this corner by the milk molar, there's another one up here. So as you can see, lots of them in here in the hill. Down here by the mega milk molar is going to be a rad stone of toughness. So that's the one that's inside of the termite hill. All right, so I'm over on the far right side of the wood pile, and you're going to notice that I'm right here to the right. This is basically as close to the shed as you can get. I just wanted to point out this one right here. It's literally sitting on a log. You can fall down from the top and just fall down there and get it. You can actually climb back out. I missed that after I walked past here like 3 times, so that's one you're going to want to make sure you grab. But this spot right here is going to be the jackpot. This was the hardest one to find. It was the last one I found. So basically, and honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, I haven't actually figured out how to get to these things because they are in such a weird location that I can't even figure out how to get them. So what we're going to do is we're going to get up here on the bike. Of course, the bike is over here on the top left side of the yard. We're going to walk up these spokes here and go up to the very top, jump over to here. Now, I haven't figured out how to get up here. You can't build up here, and there's probably a way to parkour. If I jump over to here, we can actually see exactly how many is up there. I think there's 3 of each of the tier 3s up here. So we're going to pop over here. And this is like the jackpot spot. I have not figured out how to get up here. Like I said, if you guys can figure out how to get up here, please let me know because I don't really want to have to build up here because this is going to take up a ton of resources. So as you can see here, there are going to be what looks like, I guess, is it 4 of one and 3 of the other, something like that. It's going to be hard to see here. But basically, this is the jackpot spot. Looks like there's 3, actually it looks like, yeah, 4 of these and 3 of those, which would even out. So there's 4 of them over there. So if you can figure out how to get up here, there's probably a way to parkour up here, and I just haven't figured it out yet. I'm going to definitely try to do that over the weekend, but if you can figure out how to get up here without building, let me know. But that's going to be the last spot. I do want to share the map up here just to show that in the upper yard, there's only one that was down in the canyon area, which I was kind of surprised. That was actually, this one's under a rock over here. This one was beneath, like right where the link glove is, but down in the caverns, down where the black ox beetles are, down where all the quartzite used to be. I didn't find any. And then up here, like I said, a bunch of them are underneath the shed, the deck shed here, or the shed deck, sorry. So there's some over by the infected wolf spider, some by the ladybird larva, and then some back here by the green shield bug. I think one of them was actually hit. They're both near the cap gun that's under here. And there might be, these are in the corners or something like that. So make sure you check all those out. These do not respawn. They're a one-time thing. However, in the future, like I said, you'll be able to craft all 3 tiers of them. But right now, you're only able to craft the first 2 tiers. After you complete the Black Handheld Lab, I think it allows you to craft both the tier 1 and tier 2, or you can buy them from Burgle. I had already had that unlocked, but I believe that's where you get them from. And like I said, just to recap, I think, so what did we see? There was 3 of the, so there's 4 and 4, so that's 8. That's 4 of each, 6 of each, 7 of each, 8 of each, 9 of each. Yeah, there's about 9 of each. So each one of the rocks will drop you, I believe it drops, the tier 3 will drop 3 of the tier 3, and I think 3 of the tier 2. The tier 2 should drop 3 of the tier 2 and 3 of the tier 1. The tier 1, I think, are just going to drop the tier 1s. And then, of course, you can find the tier 1 versions of both of the fashion, what is the fashion rocks and the fashion stones and the fashion rocks and the stones of, I hope they change the name of these things because they're very hard to remember the names of them because they're kind of silly. But you can find those just laying around, like shards laying around. So those are the major locations. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Obviously, they're going to be adding more because the upper backyard here doesn't have any. They did do some more terraforming up here, but there's none currently up in here from what I saw. Basically, the tip's going to be go back through the labs, go back through the ant hills or the termite hill. Any place that there used to be quartzite, there's a good chance there's going to be some. There wasn't any back where you fix the laser here, where the mites are. There wasn't any in there, but most of the other places that I found quartzite, like the Haze area and the anthills and stuff in the Oak Lab, that's where I found this stuff, or that's where I found these resources. So anyway, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you hit the like button and consider subscribing for more videos just like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.